There we go. Good morning, everybody. Do you hear me? How's the sound this morning? If you can just quickly post either one of the comments on YouTube and Facebook, so I know I'm not talking to myself. Anybody there? How's the sound? Okay, I guess we're good. So, what a beautiful day! What a beautiful morning! It's so good to see everybody here and joining together in our conversation. And the conversation of Judaism's big ideas. But before we get to today's idea, I just want to remind everyone again about upcoming classes that we're having, and everything is on our website. There's a special class this week on Thursday evening at 8 o'clock. I'm giving a class for the Jewish Learning Institute on happiness, titled Don't Smile, Be Happy, 5 Tools from the Happiness Box During These Challenging Times. It's actually an exciting project to be working on, and I hope you'll be able to join us then. I do not have the link today currently to that session, but if you go on our site Thursday afternoon, you'll see it there on the regular scheduled events, and you're just able to click. So make sure you have our website, virtualjewishcenter.org, and you'll be posted on all the wonderful things that are taking place. So, our big ideas. Today is not just a big idea, today is a huge idea. It's actually a huge idea. It's so huge that it gives life to everything else that we've been speaking about. So let's quickly get to the ideas, to the big ideas. Let's review quickly what we have been doing till now. The 12 ideas of Judaism, and these are 12 verses that the Rebbe put together for young children to be able to study and lay the foundation for their life. And as we've mentioned many times, laying the foundation for life is not just as a child, but it becomes a foundation for all our living. Just going to remove a little bit of the tchotchkes here so we can see this a little better. And what are these big ideas? So we've gone through guidance, harmony, freedom, impact, relevance, mindfulness, purpose. Imagine you're an 8, 9, 10-year-old child and you're learning these ideas. As I look back at that, it's such a beautiful gift, although you don't really understand them that well at that age, but these are concepts that as you grow up with this kind of meaning in your life, it makes your growth and your maturity and your growing into a person that much more deeper and meaningful. Today we're on big idea number 8, and that is the big idea of what we call tradition. Now I'm going to play a little association with my friends out there in cyber world who are watching our broadcast today and this morning, and if you're watching it during the day. When you tell a Jew the word tradition, what do they associate that with? And maybe some of you can plug it in and put it into your comments section. But when I say tradition, many times I'm sure people of our generation, because I'm sure there aren't any teenagers waking up so early and watching this broadcast, we associate it with Fiddler on the Roof, tradition. That's like a famous saying of tradition. And tradition usually does not have that much meaning. It's very nostalgic. It's very beautiful. But we talk about tradition as keeping up something from the past. But I want to ask you another question, which is what tradition means to me. I want to ask you a question. What is one constant, and let me get myself in focus here a little bit. What is one constant? If I ask you, one thing in your life that is constant from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to sleep, from the day you were born to the moment you pass away, from your life to your mother's life to your grandmother's life to your great-grandmother's life for thousands of years, what is the one thing that you are constantly doing and they have constantly done as they were alive? There's one thing that connects everyone and is a constant. You know what that thing is? It's called breathing. Every moment of the day, regardless of what you're doing, you're breathing. Every moment of your life, regardless of what you're doing, you're breathing. for generations, and as long as the humans have been on this world, they are breathing, because breath is the very core of life. Breath is what brings the oxygen into our bodies to be able to live. The oxygen removes the used carbon or the negative carbon dioxide, and now you're able to breathe. And you don't say, well, I breathed yesterday, so I have oxygen from yesterday. Well, in fact, it's the oxygen from yesterday that you want to get rid of, because that has turned into carbon dioxide. Now you want to be able to breathe fresh. So there's one constant that keeps you alive, and that is your breathing. That's what gets your body functioning. Now, it never gets outdated. You never say, well, why do I have to breathe? That's so old-fashioned. That's so from the Dark Ages, as we discussed on the other day. That's what they did thousands of years ago. We're living in 2020. Why do I have to breathe? Because breath never gets outdated. Because breath is the core and the heart, figuratively, of what life is all about. Now, you ever think about your soul? Did you ever think about your soul needing to breathe? Did you ever think that maybe your soul needs its oxygen? Do you ever think that maybe your spiritual life needs oxygen? And it's not just something that is there when you need it or something you do every once in a while? That is what this word tradition means. And let's go to the verse that expresses this. The verse is the verse that we say every day. And it's the verse that we say many times in our prayers. And I'm going to make that a little bigger. It's the verse of Vishinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam. And you shall teach the Torah to your children, and you shall speak about it when you are home and when you travel, before you lie down to sleep and when you wake up. In other words, what this verse is telling us is that the words of the Torah are something that needs to be a constant in your life. When do you teach things properly to your children? When it becomes real to you. And by the way, commentaries say it's not just teach to your children, but to your students. You can't impart morals or values to students or children if it isn't really part of you, because children see through that. So what the verse is telling us here, that the verses preceding this, that I'll tell you about in a moment, must become real to you. Real that you're able to impart it. Real that it occupies you constantly. That everything you do when you're walking or when you're traveling, when you're home or when you're away, when you're lying down or when you're up, it's something that is part of you. Just like your breath. Just like your breath is always there giving life to your body, you need to exercise and bring oxygen to your soul. Because the soul doesn't give you a body. The soul gives you a purpose to live in your body. And that purpose needs to constantly be fed with a certain type of oxygen. And that is what Torah is really all about. Torah isn't the stories that we learn. When we study our Torah, God is giving us an oxygen tank. God is giving us a resource from which we can draw oxygen into our life. And this then becomes the very valuable meaning of this verse. The meaning and the idea of drawing into our resources, not just to put us back in a nostalgic little shtetl in Europe, but to draw from what was giving them the life. Despite the challenges and hardships, there was a joy in their life. There was a meaning in their life. There was a purpose in their life. That is the real idea of Jewish tradition. Judaism does not need us to keep up some relic, some ancient action of the past. It is it's going back to those resources that give us purpose and meaning and oxygen in the present. So, this verse of teaching of Vishinantam comes right after the most important verse of Shema. We all know Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. That's the most powerful verse in the Torah. It talks about the unity of God, the relationship that you have with your Creator. And this, the Torah continues 2 verses later, is something that you must see, not just as an abstract idea, but the very oxygen that gives your life its purpose and its meaning. And purpose and meaning in life is not just for one moment of life. but as the Torah teaches, its purpose and meaning in everything that we do. So what do successful people really do? If you ask a successful person, and I don't necessarily agree with this, but successful people will tell you, we wake up early in the morning, we go to sleep late at night, the whole day we're preoccupied with succeeding in whatever we want. Because when a person wants to succeed in something, it dominates their mind. It preoccupies every aspect of them, even when they're eating, even when they're doing other things. Their minds are constantly working on whatever project it is. That is the same attitude we must have in developing our soul, in exercising our soul, in living our purpose and living our meaning. So, what do people do in stressful times? What do people do when things get tough? What do people do when things get really stressful? We're many times taught, take a deep breath. Breathe in and breathe out. Inhale and exhale. Bring oxygen. Reduce your stress level. And many times that calms us down. It gives us a little focus. Many psychologists will tell you that instead of going through thousands of dollars and hundreds of hours of therapy to go back to your past and figure everything out, just be mindful of where you are. And the exercise would be breathe in and breathe out. Focus on the breath. Focus on the constant. Bring oxygen into your life. And so it is during our challenging times that we must not only bring oxygen into our physical bodies, we must bring oxygen into our spiritual purpose, into our spiritual meaning. And as the world is so challenging and we struggle so much, and undoubtedly I hope all of you are breathing well, let's focus on our spiritual breath. Let's realize the power of this verse, the real power of tradition, reaching back to centuries of Jewish tradition, not just to enjoy brisket, matzah ball, or even the great ideas of Torah, but to tap into our tradition with what it truly has to offer. The oxygen that gives life and continues to sustain our soul, our purpose, our personal missions. So as we've spoken about many times over the past few weeks, we all have a purpose. Every moment of our life has a purpose. The moment you wake up and the moment you lay down, the moment you're born, the moment you pass away. You, your bubbies, your grandmothers, your great-grandmothers, for all generations, had two constants. They all breathed and they all had a purpose. Let's spend some of this time developing that purpose, nourishing that purpose, allowing that purpose to guide us, not just through these challenging times, but hopefully it will become the anchor and the guide for many years of enjoyable life to come. So have a great day. Take a deep breath. And every time you take a deep breath to bring oxygen into your body, think about your breathing exercises for your soul. You won't only have a healthier spiritual life, but it will also impact your physical life as well. So have a wonderful day. It's time to sign off. We've gone way, way above our 10-minute, but I hope this message is impactful. Over the next few days, we will be sharing stories that will further illustrate this idea, further demonstrate the need to bring the oxygen to the soul, the value it brings, as I said, not only to your soul, but to your physical life as well. But for now, let's think about not just this big idea, but this huge idea, the idea that brings life into everything that we do. Have a wonderful day.